My YouTube Shorts channel has over 10 million views in the last 28 days. In this video, I'm pulling back the curtain to show you exactly how I create viral shorts in Premiere Pro so you can replicate the process and achieve similar results. Step 1. Download your clip and drag it into your timeline. So this channel publishes reused content of Mark Cuban giving advice and telling stories. It's important to note right off the bat that YouTube has specific policies for monetization of reused content. Specifically, we make an effort to comply with these policies by creating a funny or thoughtful revision of content we didn't originally create, and by taking edited footage from other creators where we add a storyline or commentary. With that understanding, we download our clip using any free 4K YouTube downloader and drag it into our timeline. As you can see, we've downloaded our entire clip and dragged it into Premiere Pro here and added little in and out points to take a clip that we want. So from there, we're gonna drag it onto the timeline here and we can see it. We're gonna keep existing settings because we wanna keep it formatted for a YouTube short. And as you can see there, we need to zoom in a little bit and focus more on the speaker. So I'm gonna actually go here and make sure we get to the point where Mark starts talking. So he's talking about going to Lakers games. I'm gonna hit C, clip that out, and delete this empty space. So we're right there, we're starting with a clip of Mark Cuban, right? So from there, I'm gonna go ahead and zoom in so it takes up the entire frame here. So we've got him, I've got that little portion where it showed Wednesday out of the frame. So it's a pretty good little shot. From there, I'm gonna go ahead and just take out all these portions of the clip that don't add any value to the viewer, right? So you can see the audio down here, and in some instances, I will clip this portion out here where it's dead, but because he's kind of in the middle of a sentence, it's a natural pause, I'll leave it in there. So typically I'll go through, and if I was gonna take this little portion out, I'd clip that, right? So I just take out dead spaces and make it more engaging for the viewer. Step 2, add an adjustment layer to your clip. So from there, we're gonna add this adjustment layer. We're just gonna come down here and click New Item, Adjustment Layer. We're gonna make it the same size as our frame and sequence here, and we're gonna drag it onto the top, right? And typically I'm gonna go across the entire clip here, right? So now that we've got it up, I'm just gonna come up here from the effects workspace here, and if you don't have these, you can click this little icon and click Show Workspace Tabs there. But I'm gonna go into the Effects tab here and click Lumetri Color. From there, I wanna click Basic Correction, and all I'm gonna do with the adjustment layer selected is increase the exposure up to about 1. That looks a little bit too exposed. So actually, this is kind of a bright clip already, so I'm just gonna make it 0.6 there. I'm gonna boost the contrast a little bit, boost the highlights a little bit, decrease the shadows a little bit, which just, all I'm doing here is giving the clip itself a little more pop there, and then I'm just gonna leave whites and blacks. So next we're gonna come to creative there and up the sharpen, up the vibrance. And vibrance you can up a little bit more maybe than some of the other ones, but I typically like to go around 30, 35. And move saturation. This is the one you gotta be careful with. I'm just gonna make this 110 and see how that looks. So that looks pretty good. It's not too saturated. You don't wanna oversaturate your clip here. So we just like to add that adjustment layer, and also if you wanted to make a black and white clip, you could do that by just bringing the saturation down, and there you've got a black and white clip there. So that's how you do that. And we just like to do that to add a little more pop to your video initially when viewers are looking at it. Step 3, add engaging captions to your video. So from there, we're gonna come into this caption and graphics tab up here, and we're gonna go click transcript. Premiere Pro makes this super easy, so we're gonna select the clip that we have and just hit transcribe. See the status here? You gotta wait for this little circle to fill in. When I first started, I was impatient and couldn't wait for that, so that's how you know the status of the transcription, and we're just gonna wait until that finishes and be right back. All right, so now that the clip has been transcribed, we're gonna come up to this closed caption button and click create captions. And then from there, we're gonna drop down this set preferences menu, and I've tested this and I've found that the maximum length in characters is best right around 15, and I actually bring this minimum duration in seconds all the way down to 1.2. I leave the gap here the same, and I like to do single lines. That's a personal preference, but you can play around with that as you'd like. Click create captions, and there we go. We've got these captions in at the top, so you can see them on the bottom of the screen there. And what I'll do is select all of them, and I will come in here and change the text that I like to use is the bold font, and I make it size 100. Keep it centered. I like all caps. You can do all caps or not. And I like to put it in the middle here. So I line it in the middle, but I bottom align the text. Okay, so that moves it just below the center of the frame there, just so you're not putting it over someone's face or something like that. So I like to do that. I leave the fill white. I add a stroke with a stroke width of 4. I make it black. Leave the background empty, and then the shadow is 100% opacity, 135-degree angle. I make the size 10, the distance 10, and the blur 15, and that's pretty much it. That's how I like to make it look. Now, that's taking up the whole screen there, so maybe if for this one, I would select that individual caption and make it 90, and that makes it one line, right? So then I'll actually come through and highlight certain text to make it different colors. So all the Lakers games, does he say games? Yep. So I'll select these two, and I'll change the fill to green, and I'll just go through the entire clip and typically change colors to make it just, highlight certain text that I want to highlight, make it a little more engaging. So you can see it goes to all the Lakers games. You see that just keeps people's attention a little bit better. So I'll go through and use green, yellow, red, blue, whatever colors, but typically just green and yellow, honestly, is what I focus on, just because I think that's easier. So that's pretty much it for the captions for now. Step 4, include relevant emojis and overlay images. So we do this to add value to the video and pique more interest from the viewer, and it's an important step for those of you that are running channels featuring reused content, because as we talked about at the beginning of the video, you need to make significant edits to the content in order to comply with YouTube's monetization policies. So to do this, we'll just come in here and, if we're talking about going to a Lakers game, I'll actually come in to Google, type Lakers game Cuban, right? Since it features him, and all I'll do here is try to find something good. Let's just use this photo for a minute. So I'll just save it in downloads, and then I'll come back into the timeline here, drag that image on all the Lakers games, right? So then we're gonna have to expand this image, and as you can see, it's gonna cut out a lot of this. So we just kind of need to pick, who we want to feature. Do we want to feature him or Kobe? And I think in this case, we'll probably want to feature Kobe. And if we wanted to animate this image, I'll bring the playhead back to the front here, keyframe the scale. So it adds that keyframe there, and then I'll go in and we'll make it, let's say 1100 scale. So it'll zoom it in a little bit, and I did that wrong, 1100. So it scales it in a little bit, and then I'll drag that to the end of the clip. So what we get there is a little zoom in on that, and it's pretty easy to do and doesn't take a lot of time. So I like to do that on images, just to, again, make the video a little more engaging. And then same thing with emojis here. I've got a file of common emojis that I like to use, so I'll just drag this emoji onto the clip here, and I put it over the image. Let's make it the same duration as the image here. And we've got, this is actually an animated emoji here, so I'm gonna make it 125 or so, and then drag it below the text so it's kind of out of the way. And as you can see, this will come up and it's a little shocking emoji, so that's good. Step 5, sound effects. Again, this is all to draw in the viewer and hold their attention. Sound is one of those subtle triggers that keeps viewers entertained, which will keep them on your video for longer. So in this instance, we've got this image popping up here, and what I typically like to do is add a camera shutter, since somebody did take this photo at some point, and I'll drag that camera photo or camera shutter to align with when that image pops on the screen. So if you can hear it here, it's just a little, tiny little camera shutter right as it pops up, right? And then maybe when that image goes away, we want to put a little whoosh at the end. As you can see here, I want that whoosh to match up with when it goes away. And so that little whoosh will go as it switches back to Cuban's face. So those are just a couple little examples of how we use sound effects in our videos. Step 6, animate your captions. Next, I upgrade my captions to a graphic and animate them just a little to give the video more pop. So I'm gonna select all the captions here. I'm gonna go up to graphics and titles, which I realize you can't see, it's off the screen, but graphics and title up top, and just click upgrade caption to graphic. And what that's gonna do is bring it from the caption line down to the main timeline here. And I'm gonna select the first clip, and all I'm gonna do is bring this playhead to the beginning, make it 75, the scale 75, do 4 keyframes, so 1, 2, 3, 4 keyframes, put another stop right there, and I'm gonna right click it and do ease in. So what that's gonna do is, if you look at the timeline here, it's gonna start it out slow, and I forgot to change the scale here, but the scale should be 100. So what that does is it brings it in like that and just animates the graphic a little bit. Now, you can see it's coming in from the middle and going down like that. If we want to change that, we can select anchor point and drag this little circle here down to the bottom, or down to the text there. And you'll see what that does is it makes the text come straight out, which I just like a little better. I think it looks better. And from there, we're just gonna right click that caption and select the rest of the captions here. And I'm just gonna right click again, click paste attributes, which again, it's off the screen, but paste attributes, and make sure all 4 of these are selected, especially vector motion. So that's gonna add that little graphic to every caption there. See that? It's just a little more engaging, and that's a pretty simple way to just keep viewers entertained. And finally, step number 7 is to export the video and upload it to your channel. So to export, we just come up here to export, and I save it where I want to save it, and pretty much we are ready to publish that video to our channel. I've set up my YouTube Shorts preset here in Premiere Pro, so this process is super quick and easy. I'll be sharing my export settings as well as how to create this preset in a future video, so make sure to subscribe for that and more helpful content related to YouTube Shorts, and I'll see you in the next video.